Hey guys and girls, PokerTinking here back with another Flesh and Blood video. Today we are going to talk about Alpha WTR, the king of Flesh and Blood, the very first set that started it all. So today I'm going to talk about why I bought my Alpha WTR box. So I had wanted an Alpha box for so long, but I never made it happen essentially for so long. I saw prices go up and down over the years and I never quite picked one up. Now, when I entered Flesh and Blood, I could have picked one up for about £500, but I kind of hesitated. I wanted to ensure that Flesh and Blood was a card game that was going to stand the test of time. So I wanted to make sure I did enough research, I opened enough product, kind of understood how the game works, how it plays, and kind of the longevity that I think that the card game could have. So when it comes to buying an item that is essentially a centerpiece of a collection, you obviously need to ensure that you are 100% committed to this card game. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people watching here that have multiple Alpha boxes, and some of which they might have spent, market price for them all currently, and they might have multiple, Some people obviously watching this, they're going to be people that don't have an Alpha box, and this is the kind of reasons as to why I bought it and perhaps why you should try and get one if you can. So, the box behind me, which is this one here. This is the Alpha box. So you can tell that it's Alpha because it has Alpha print on there. Obviously, I might do another video where I close up inspect it, but I don't want to take this out of this box, honestly. And it doesn't have the logo on the seal as Legend Story Studios, as all the other sets. This is the only set that didn't do it. The only other product bar this that doesn't have that is the Alpha Hero decks, which is something that I want to pick up at some point. I just feel like there's probably better things I could buy with my money in terms of Flesh and Blood. So the only first edition box I don't have is an Arcane Rising. I still have Unlimited behind me, even though Unlimited is very expensive now. I haven't kind of pulled the trigger yet. I feel it's not as special to me as Alpha. Alpha is the first set. The print run is the same on those two, but there is a difference. So I bought mine late February. I secured a deal with a guy in Australia who was very helpful. I basically had spoken to a couple of people, including Fluke and Box, and Saint as well, because I wanted to make sure that I was buying from somebody that was, 100% legit. This is sending money across the world and a substantial amount. So I paid just under 3,000, I believe, altogether. That includes shipping and imports and everything, altogether about $3,000. So at the time of recording this, boxes are around $4,500. We did see them go up to around $5,000, but they retraced a little bit, which we have talked about on the channel. So when I bought mine, the kind of thoughts that I was thinking at the time was, I've been collecting Flesh and Blood now for over 2 years. I feel like in terms of the way I do things in other card games, I want to ensure that I'm not missing out on this. This is the product that is going to be a centerpiece of my collection. It's going to be a product that I'm going to hold for years. I have no plans to ever sell this. I know I have that feelings towards most of the stuff that's behind me right now and my binders, but I know for sure the Alpha box, along probably with the Rainbow Foil Fiendar Spring Tunic, are two items in my collection that I probably will never sell. I bought them to hold in my collection and to be centerpieces. So I basically had a mad fire of selling Pokemon. So what I had done basically with Flesh and Blood is a lot of this collection was paid for by Pokemon. So I sold and made profits from cards that I've been buying and selling Pokemon cards now for, almost 15 years. And I basically put my profits into Flesh and Blood. But what I did with this was I just fire sold everything. It's very hard sometimes to sell items because you have, sentimental attachment to them, as well as items you think, well, this could go up in more. Do I want to sell this at this price? Because it could be worth more in the future. But I knew that if I didn't get this now, I'd regret it. And this is a conversation I had with one of my friends, Mike, who I did the podcast with. Definitely check him out. He's absolutely amazing content creator. And he inspires me every video that he makes to ensure that I am constantly improving my content. But I had a conversation with him and he basically had told me, you need to get it now because you won't have another chance. So I bought the box, I got it shipped from Australia. And then 2 weeks later, Alpha boxes started to climb. So we saw a point where we had almost 30 boxes hit the market in the space of 28 days, and every single one of them seemed to beat the last sold. So we went from almost $2,700 to almost $5,500 in the space of 28 days, which is absolutely ridiculous. Those kind of returns is ridiculous. I know we had the peaks of alpha where they were around that, but they obviously retraced massively. I think they went almost down to around $2,000 a box, which is when a lot of people did buy. So I know now, if I hadn't have bought then, I would definitely not be buying now, because the price increase now has gone up ridiculous amounts. The price that I could have paid for an Arcane Rising and Alpha Box then, I can pay for the same Alpha Box now. So that, that's kind of summarized why I actually bought this box. I wanted to kind of make a video about it because it's been a topic that I've been thinking about for a while, but because a lot of people ask me, that's a big purchase, and that is probably the largest single purchase I've ever made in my trading card history, for one item specifically. I've bought collections where I bought multitude of actual items before, but I've never bought one item where I spent so much money. It was a massive risk sending over that money abroad. We know that people can be trusted in the community and they can have a lot of references, but all it takes is one person to go, do you know what, I want to leave. This could be their exit scam. They could be selling this box to 10 people and potentially netting loads of money. So they're kind of the risk factors that you have when you are buying an item like this. Obviously, ensure the legitimacy of the actual box itself. With Alpha, you're going to have the little holes around it, which are air holes. There's no Legend Story Studio seal, so that makes it really hard because essentially someone could reseal the box. So, try to make sure you buy it from a reputable seller and obviously get those references checked, because I know some people have popped up where they've kind of moved from, okay, I have a load of references in Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh!, but they don't have any in Flesh and Blood. And people will name drop without actually having proper references. And they can just name drop someone and then you speak to that person and then you realise, well, actually, no, they've never had a conversation before. So they're the kind of things to do when you're kind of buying these big items. I might do a guide in the future as to ensure that you protect yourself, the kind of steps you can take. But I think, always check people's references. Ask multiple references as well. Don't just take one name. Ask multiple people when you're buying these kind of items, because that also helps to ensure the legitimacy of the box, where they got the box from as well. If you can kind of get them as much information as you can, that will kind of really help. But yeah, I think going forwards, that is an item in my collection that I probably won't ever let go of. And, not that I didn't feel like a true Flesh and Blood collector before. I'm not saying that at all. I don't, I think your collection is your collection, whatever you enjoy. But I knew that my expectations of entering a card game like this was I wanted to own a Rainbow Foil Spring Tunic, I wanted to own an Alpha Cold Foil, and I wanted to own an Alpha Box. And they're the three things that I kind of set myself as goals when entering Flesh and Blood. When I kind of realised that this was a card game that I wanted to be collecting for years to come, obviously we know that Flesh and Blood could next year absolutely die and the values of the stuff will absolutely drop, but then I'll have fun opening a lot of product either way. So they're kind of things that to think about. But hope you've enjoyed this. It's a kind of different kind of video. Please comment, like, subscribe as always, and have a great day.